Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. It is the seventh. What is it today? It's the 6th of July. It is the 6th of July. Welcome back to Pep Talks in the Morning. My name is Felicia Holder, Pep Chairman, host of this program, and now one of your candidates for general election. Woo! And it feels so good to be back with my co-host Michelle Davis party organizing our mobilization team. Welcome back, Michelle.
Good morning, Miss Holder. Good morning. Good morning. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. I missed you.
It has been every time I see a news story that I felt was Pep Talks worthy, I always thought of you. And I thought of all of the viewers and the callers and everybody who would be messaging me asking me, when is Pep Talks coming back? So, for all of those people, I hope you are on right now watching the program because we are here. We are back from a 2 week hiatus. It's been exactly 2 weeks since we took a little break, and it felt longer. It felt like 2 months actually,
Yes.
because so much has happened in that short space of time. So much, and it's all going to make its way into Pep Talks this morning because we normally do a weekend wrap up on a Monday. We now have a 2 week wrap up to do today, Michelle, because a lot has happened in that time. The reason why we took that little hiatus is because the Progressive Empowerment Party launched its first batch of candidates last week Saturday. So last week Sunday. So confetti and round of applause and all of those sound effects to commemorate that moment, that auspicious moment in history. The Progressive Empowerment Party is about to contest its first general election, the election that is going to set the tone for everything that is about to happen in this country for the next 5 years. And for those of you who would have watched the launch, you would know that we launched the first five candidates last week in alphabetical order. We had Alberta Stacey Perdine for Sour Barretario, Felicia Hola, myself for Diego Martin Central, Lima McLeod for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, Rundle Glasgow for Labrie, and Satish Ramsaran for St. Augustine. Last night in the launch, we had Bennett Thomas for La Hocketa Talparo, Benison Jagasa for San Fernando West, Gail Alexander for Port of Spain South, Maurice Downs for Tunapuna, and Matthew Gibbs for Caroni East. So those are the Progressive Empowerment Party's first 10 candidates for general election, and we are planning to launch our remaining few this upcoming weekend. Michelle, I'm sure you watched the launch last week and this week. What were your thoughts on Pep finally making it on national television for the world to see all of our very strong, very inspirational candidates? I have listened to some of the candidates from other parties, not too many because I can't deal with all of that brain damage. I've listened to some of the candidates from other parties, and I have to say, and this is not me being biased, Pep candidates are ahead by miles, like in terms of their information, in terms of the way they present themselves, in terms of knowledge about party policy. You can tell that this has been a party that has been training for this exact moment for the past 3.5 years. Not just some people that you pull off the street and say, hey, you want to wear a yellow or red t-shirt and be a candidate? These members, our candidates thus far, are all PEP members, all from the soil of the Progressive Empowerment Party, and very knowledgeable on what they're talking about. What your thoughts, Michelle, on our launch, our first two launches of candidates?
And Felicia, it was such a proud moment to see us get to this pinnacle. It really brought tears to my eyes. And as you indicated, our candidates have been on the ground with us for the past few years. So they are knowledgeable, they are for the people. It's not about selling you illusions of hope. We are talking about making a country better, holistically and we have the policies to deal with that. So I am a big congratulations to all of the candidates, including yourself. Just wonderful job. And Trinidad and Tobago, pay attention. You have a group of quality individuals that are want to serve the country.
Indeed, and so I had to add, as you mentioned that when you said that you felt so proud of this moment. I had people messaging me to say it's the first time that they got to see the Progressive Empowerment Party in such a well tailored line. Not that we were raucous before, but we normally in the past few years we had to be hitting them hard with the truth, and sometimes the truth does disturb people and unsettle their soul. I think more the public got to see in the past 2 weeks is the softer side of the Progressive Empowerment Party. And they've always been asking, your leader needs to be more Obama-like. And it's not that he doesn't possess Obama-like qualities, but sometimes when you have to speak the truth, you have to get down in the trenches to speak the truth. But the message that he delivered in the past, both of the launches that we had, I think it was so spot on, so well tailored, so on the button, and just so reflective of the kind of leader that we always knew in the Progressive Empowerment Party that he is. But that, I'm so proud to show to the rest of Trinidad and Tobago, because they talk about leadership. I'm listening to all the bacchanal in the UNC, and the Prime Minister have to pull his brigade guy yesterday for calling the US a shithole, and all of the words that they used to tongue our leader for using. Now he's now the most statesmanly leader in the running for office right now. So look, oh my, how the tables have turned. But the thing is, in their instance, we're revealing finally the facade is falling. You're getting to see who they really are. And for us, it's not a facade, but you're getting to see another side of our political leader, another side of the Progressive Empowerment Party, one that we always knew we had. And it's time to show that to the rest of Trinidad and Tobago and to the rest of the world. And I want to play a small clip from that show last night. I absolutely blown away by just how perfect everything came together. And for those of you who watched the show and those of you who may have missed the show, let's play that clip for you now.
Those bills. Our education system fails about 80% of the people who go to school. And we don't speak about that because the people who make the most noise, their children go to prestige schools, whether they earn the place or not. Because we have a SCA exam that can be rigged, that you could get your children's name on a list and bypass the SCA exam, begging the question, we spent $500 million renovating a building that existed in the place of the Red House. We spent $108 million renovating President's House. For that money, we could have built President's House over about 5 times. Of that $108 million, we spent $17 million on a $2 million cottage. Now tell me if any of that makes sense. Remember when we spent $5 million to pull up a fire engine that's not worth $500,000? And nobody went to jail. And nobody was arrested. Nobody was investigated. Nobody was charged. The chief fire officer didn't know. And the person who gave the instruction didn't know either. The person who received the contract said, this is what we charge. And we pay those bills. Our education system fails about 80% of the people who go to school. And we don't speak about that because the people who make the most noise, their children go to prestige schools, whether they earn the place or not. Because we have a SCA exam that can be rigged, that you could get your children's name on a list and bypass the SCA exam, begging the question, what's the point of the SCA exam in the first place? You heard our education advisor tell you that exams such as that develop anxiety in 10 and 11-year-old children. Now, why would we want to do that? There's no purpose or reason for the competition, save and except to say that you have the bling of a prestige school. Why would we have prestige schools if all our schools are on the same curriculum, get the same funding, have teachers from the same teachers training college, and operate under the same Ministry of Education? Is it that that whole collective could only make 20% of our school facilities functional and the devil could take the rest? And how come we don't talk about that anywhere in the parliament? How come we're not talking in the parliament about the ease with which 57 women were trafficked and the ease with which 37,000 illegal guns in 2017 became 50,000 illegal guns by 2020? And how come we're not talking about that? How come we're not talking about the conditions of the people in the at-risk and the depressed communities as if we don't give a damn?
Indeed. And for those, oh, I forgot to mention this at the start of the show. As you see, we started at a new time and we are going to wrap up at a new time. It is election crunch time, so every minute, every hour counts. So this program is only going to be an hour going forward. Of course, if you demand more as viewers, I mean, people message me, buffing me, telling me, can't believe you all are not back on air yet. So if you all are demanding more, of course, I'm trying to split my time or make myself a twin to do more, to give you guys some more time. But for now, we're doing one nice tight hour with you. But back to the launch video. For those who may have missed it, you can go and check us out on Facebook, our Facebook page for the full video. We're on YouTube as well. You can also go and check it out on CNC3 Live. Yes. And for those who did not broadcast both of our launches on national television last week, TV6, and last night, CNC3 bought and paid for media time. Let me add that as the head of finance. Raising those funds was no easy task, but it was a task that it happened. Our members, our supporters came through for us. And we will be doing this until we launch all of our candidates. So please do not stop donating, do not stop supporting, do not stop contributing to what is a history-making movement that the progressive is carrying out right now. And your support it is really instrumental at this time. And please do not stop lending us that support. Over the next couple days and weeks, you will be meeting the candidates one at a time. They will all be coming on to the program so you can get a little bit familiar with them. We are very proud of our candidates. Like I say, no recycled politicians, people who have been in the party for a while, people who actually believe in our policies and not just wearing an orange shirt for the chance to get in parliament. They actually want to, and you can tell when you listen to their candidate speeches, you can tell that they have a real passion for their country. Anything else from you, Michelle?
No, it's just thank you for the support to our public, to the members that have really reached out to us. I was telling Felicia prior to the show, I literally have several callbacks, several that are probably going to take me a few hours this morning to make to the public that is reaching out to us, continuing to offer their support. Come with us on the ground. We need your help in mobilizing our efforts. It takes, it's going to take a team, it's going to take a village to really send a shockwave through this country. So join us in our mobilization efforts. We were in San Fernando West yesterday. I met, two brand new team members and, just citizens that are concerned and want a better country. So please contact us.
Definitely, because Michelle loves making callbacks all. But no, seriously, Michelle, I tell you that night after we did the first video and my phone, before 10 minutes was up in the program, my phone started to go off. I started to get messages from people. Last night, somebody volunteered to do the PA systems for us at no cost, no obligation. I mean, we see a lot of times that things in this party seems ordained, and it seems like that because out of nowhere and at the right time, at the right moment, things just seem to fall into place. I mean, we had this launch that we will advertise that we wanted to put on national TV. But before we even thought of putting it on national TV, we were preparing to do as we have always done, which is to air it on Facebook, because everybody knows Facebook has been our platform due to media blockage. And we just mentioned it over one weekend that, guys, we would like to put this on national TV. And the way our members came together to support that that movement, I think it's something I will never forget. I'll never forget the power of people who really believe in and want change for their country. It is astronomical. You, I don't think you all know, and when I say you all, every donator, every
Yes.
supporter, everybody give us $1, $2, $1,000, and say, "Don't give me anything in return." I don't think you know just how much and how much you're helping us prove the point that all it takes is a few good people to stop evil from prevailing. And the next to that phrase, you would see a picture of the Progressive Empowerment Party logo and its
Yes.
members, I swear.
Yes, agreed, 100%, 100%. You know, when I saw the movement and you had posted some information about how quickly our supporters responded to that, request to air the launch, and it was the feedback was just absolutely incredible in that 1 hour of Phillips alive. I mean, we just saw an astronomical amount of support for the party. And it just goes to show, Felicia, what we've been saying all along. People do want a better country. This is not about individual wants and desires, ladies and gentlemen. This is about, if this is a better country, this benefits us all. It's not about you getting an HDC house or you getting a URP. No, those days are gone. We have to look at our country as a holistic approach. If the roads are better, if the healthcare system is better, if the crime is reduced, this is the country we want to live in. This is not an individual approach. So please join us. Please join us in our efforts to make this country and to send a strong message as citizens that, you know what, time for greed, mismanagement, incompetence, done. Time to move Trinidad forward.
Indeed, and if you would like to donate to that next broadcast, which we will again be airing on national TV, this is now our new Sunday night. I don't want to call it forum, our Sunday night live, I guess. I not calling it
Yeah.
forum to get confused with that with the yellow party at all. But this is our new uh platform, Sunday night platform, and people, they are now in tune. They're looking out for it. They're asking for it. And yes, we will be back this Sunday. Uh, where there's a will, there's a way, and I will make it happen. But I need your help to make it happen. 769-4590. If you would like to be a part of this movement and you would like to see your party on national television, please also take a moment to hit share on the live video. That's what I'm trying to do on my other phone right now. Trying to it's moving so slow, but please help me by hitting share to all your groups, on your news feed, on your pages, etc. as we bring more people into the conversation. But moving on to the next topic, it's the irony of Keith Rowley calling a snap election what was it, 5 days after the Progressive Empowerment Party launched its first 5 candidates. And I have to say, if our first 5 candidates scared him so much, scared him into calling an early election, I don't know what he's going to do when he see all 41. Michelle, what is he going to do?
I don't know. I mean, the when I saw that first, I thought it was a Facebook prank, and then my first thought was, wow, what a coincidence that we just launched a few days ago, and literally we saw the shift, the distraction that they're known for, because we talk about that all the time. They shifted and distracted the nation from the launch of the Progressive Empowerment Party and the hype and the joy that people felt seeing competent candidates, a competent party that with no bacchanal politics, we all talked policy, procedure, making this nation forward. So first thought was yes, and then second thought, Felicia, I had the second thought was, are they trying to hide something? Right? And when you really deep dive, this PNM does not have a good history of snap elections. They have lost all. So so you have to wonder, ladies and gentlemen, Really? Was it PEP that shook them up? Or in a deep dive, are they trying to hide something from the nation? September is budget. We are drowning in debt as a nation. They have announced yesterday, over the weekend, that they are going on a very hard tax reform if they are elected, that basically they are going to implement heavy taxation, tax reform. That was their agenda, and this goes to show how badly the country has been mismanaged, Felicia. Because we know, as at the Progressive Empowerment Party, we only talk facts. We are drowning in debt, ladies and gentlemen. This is no longer a joke. So if you think the budget, it's also coincidence the budget is due very soon and they called elections, it's definitely something to hide.
And that's the thing, Michelle. The last budget that we got was right before local government elections. I remember that clearly because it was they call it a sweetheart budget. That's where they give you
Yeah.
all of the candy, bulb for you. What else they give you? Bulbs, yams for you. What else? What else did we get in that budget that we were from? Bulbs, yams. What else?
Bulbs, yeah, that pretty much
Yeah,
sums it up.
it,
Fully.
I was
We still
just
haven't got the
counted, you
bulbs.
know.
We, yeah,
We still
yeah.
haven't gotten balls, but they made a lot. Yeah, that's when they did their rush thingamajigger to decriminalize marijuana and made a whole
Oh,
botch out of it. I forget that.
yes,
Um,
yes.
so it was a whole night, a whole circus that they threw at us and said, "This is your candy." And I remember it's what pushed them into was it a majority victory? No, it was half half. How did
Half,
that
half, I
election
think.
go?
Yeah,
I didn't pay much
yeah.
attention to it. Half half. Right. So it was also a local government election before a general election is usually an indicator of the performance of the incumbent government as well as the opposition government in a prospective election. And in that election, it told a story which is that PNM was losing its base because the last election there was an overwhelming support for the PNM, and that's, I mean, it's typical in history with Trinidad and Tobago. You get fed up of one party because they come in for 5 years because you was fed up of the last party before, and then you get fed up of this party, so you vote back in the party that you were fed up with. Typical change and exchange that we've been doing for the past 58 years. But that story that it told was that the PNM was losing ground, they were losing in popularity, and then bam, came COVID-19. And they were promising the world of things. Remember those salary relief grants? You get a grant and you get a grant and you get assistance and you get a hamper and you get a mask and you get sanitizer and you get a food card. Yeah, I will never forget that. Was it March 13? No, March 13, they announced that we were going to shut down the country because of
Yes.
COVID-19. I think the Monday after that was where they started throwing out the candy like they did for local government election. And the loyalists and the I don't want to say less than critical thinkers, but those who did not who were not thinking implementation, because it's easy to say things like say you can get a bulb and say you can get yam, and then what's left is the follow-up, and that is what was missing from this. So they were riding a high for a little while off of the COVID-19 grants, and we got a loan from the IAB, and we got a loan, no, the IDB, and then a loan from CONCAF, and we got a loan from everywhere, and we had money, and we were drawing from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, and we were looking nice for a while. Then reality started to set in. People weren't getting their grants. Money was spending on everything but salary relief grants. And
Mhm.
I think we got to a point where even PNM supporters, even the diehards, were starting to ask questions like, yo, what is really happening. I'm a daily paid worker. I haven't been working for 3 months. I haven't gotten my salary grant. And then came the riots in Port of Spain of last week. Came the message from the Chamber of Commerce 3 weeks ago. And it seems as if things are unraveling. The thread is slowly being unraveled in this government. And this is my analysis on why I think they had to call a snap election. So they're running out of time right now. And on top of that, we are drowning in debt. Our budget is coming up. And as we know, Michelle, that budget, like you said, is not going to be a sweetheart budget like last year. That budget is most likely going to see increased gas costs, see increased prices, see increased taxes, and they cannot afford to deliver such a budget and then go into a general election. That will be a death blow to their already downward turning government. So I'm of the very strong belief that they had no other choice, because here comes the Progressive Empowerment, who has been nipping away at their base for the past 3.5 years, now launching candidates on national television. I think they got panicked. I think they got spooked. And
Yes,
now they're
yes,
a
yes.
snap election that, like you said, they typically have not been um they typically
Successful.
have not done well. The last snap election
Yeah.
was when Manning thought that he was the Lord of all lords and he could call an election when he felt like, and Kamala dealt him the death blow that I don't think the PNM would ever recover from in terms of the egos, etc. But we're about to face this election now, and I'm not sure if they made the right move for their government, but it's certainly going to be an interesting election for the Progressive Empowerment Party.
Yes, Felicia, and it is. And we have to talk, we talk about these grants, and ladies and gentlemen, we really have to pay attention as the public to what is going on in this country. Felicia and I, there was a recap in the Express and Guardian and so forth about a month ago, and we gave a figure of 934 million had been spent at that point about a month ago, and 800 million of that were business tax refunds, VAT refunds. It had nothing to do with the public. Since then, there has been no public information of how billions have been spent. We are literally in the dark as to where did this COVID budget go to. There's $6 billion they allotted for, and right now less than $1 billion has been allotted for. Ask yourself, are you one of those that still are waiting on the grant? And we're not just talking 1,500. By now, you should have received 1,500 times three, which is 4,500. If anybody is listening that has received $4,500, which you should have received by now, please let us know, because the feedback on the ground is people are still waiting for the initial month, which was only $1,500 or less, because there was a fine print in that it said up to $1,500. They related as 1,500, but it really wasn't. Some received 1150, some received 1250. So citizens, ask yourself, where has $6 billion that was accounted for, where has that gone? That's the deeper question. And why are the citizens going to be taxed into the ground as a result of that?
Very, very good question, because Michelle, I mean, we are in March, April, May, June. We're in July now, going on 4 months of being under lockdown. And let's segue into that topic, because we're approaching a general election where, like you said, people are still complaining that they have not received their salary leave grant. I saw a post on Facebook last night, and I think the producer has this post to put up, and I want to let the public know that we're not making these things up. It is facts. It is cold hard facts out there that people have not received their grants. Do we have that picture to put up from that post last night? Okay, I guess not. No, not this one. This one is for what we're going to talk about in a hot minute. But there
Right.
was a post that sent last night from a gentleman who was complaining that he has not yet received his salary relief grant. But this one here deals with the riots that I want to touch on in a real hot second because it right. So Mr. Jason
Right.
Kuto is still waiting for my salary relief grant from the government under Keith Christopher Rowley. I love how everybody knows his middle name now. Who withdrew
Yeah.
$21 billion from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund to assist the citizens in Trinidad and Tobago due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I think he was trying to say people lost their jobs and rental assistance
Yes.
grant was promised, yet nothing ain't materialized. Yes. Going into 5 months, where is this money gone? Where has this money gone to? And Mr. Jason Kuto, I can understand exactly what you're trying to say. I mean, you're not the only citizen who has been complaining about the salary relief grant. But Michelle, it begs the question: we took all of these loans, the IADB loan, I mean, where has all of this money gone? And I don't want to be obvious with it by saying, renting facilities for over $100,000 a month, turning sporting facilities into hospitals to house 10 and 20 people, spending $10 million on it. I mean, the money that we spending on everything but giving the grants to people, I don't know how much more distraction this government can distract people from the fact that money is clearly not being accounted for. Money is missing and it is not touching the hands of the very people, the same people that they had to call amalgamated and police and army for last week when they rioted in town because they finally got fed up of the years and the years and the years of neglect. But where back to the salary grants, where is this money? Michelle, we've been singing this song since April, May,
Forever.
June, we're in July.
Forever.
Where was this money?
Yes, and Felicia, during my speech at the launch last week, that was one of my questions. Remember, I started saying that this government has left us with more questions than answers. And for those of you that are listening to our show and you say, well, what does this money have to do with us? Well, we are operating on a negative. So what does it have to do with you? It means anytime you are working or employed, that you are going to start to feel the taxes because we have $21 billion unaccounted for. We got a figure of 934. That was the last public information displayed. And then where is the money gone? We need to start asking ourselves, do you see this? Do you see the money in the roads? Do you see the money in the hospital care? Do you see the money in the schools? No. Where has this? And Felicia, one of the things that we pointed out very early in the program, during the initial COVID relief implementation, we saw this administration basically campaigning because the food hampers were delivered in what? P&M
Uh,
logo bags and so forth, and we saw this jubilation of people getting probably 3 days of food, if that, because the bags were so small. But it was a campaign going on, and is your money going towards the campaigning of this administration? Because that's what it was initially doing in the beginning during the COVID relief efforts.
Exactly, but what about our debt though? And I'm questioning all of the money that we're borrowing, all of the I know the government because again this is an election year. They opted to continue paying public servants even though they weren't working. They opted to continue paying teachers even though they weren't teaching. So, where what is this what the money was used for? And then let's not forget the tax refunds that they paid out in the billions of dollars, that money that they used, COVID relief money that they used, where was that, the money for that, where has that gone? Are we borrowing to pay loans that we borrowed from, or like it feels like, that that analogy of the man who borrowed $10 to pay back the man who he owed $20, and then he borrowed $100 to pay back the man who he borrowed at $10. That feels like what we are doing, borrowing and borrowing and borrowing ourselves into a hole. And then COVID-19 came like a breath of fresh air, and I'm being sarcastic using that term, but it came like a breath of fresh air because it brought a new source of revenue for this government. But again, it brought money to be used on everything but what it should have been used for, because we're still talking about the fact that people can't get salary relief grants. People aren't getting the rental assistance. Somebody told me that FCB is offering some small business loans that
Yes.
making absolutely no sense. The term the person used was, does FCB even know what qualifies as a small business? Because the terms are the repayment terms and the cost of the installments on these loans and the interest, it is something that a small startup business cannot afford. So, these again, and these loans, these so-called loans, were supposed to help the small to medium-sized businesses who were struggling during COVID-19. So that means clearly the government did not really create any incentives like they said they were going to do, which would really encourage small businesses to take loans to help their business be boosted
Yes.
during this time. So if they did not, again, if they did not invest in that, then where did they put this money? Are we now paying back loans and interest on loans that we would have taken under this administration for the past 4.5 going on 5 years? Is that what we are doing with the country's money, with the taxpayers' money, with the money to help us during these difficult times?
Felicia, Peter to pay Paul. And that is what we are in right now. We are drowning and close to, we're probably over a 70% debt ratio, which means 70% of our measly income as a country is now paying loans. So how do we expect the country to benefit from this administration? And now we are hearing tax. We are hearing they haven't been able to implement anything smoothly, but yet we have a trafficking ticketing system that is basically punishing the drivers of this country because there is no alternate revenue for this country. So the citizens are paying left, right, and center. And until you understand that as an average man on the street, you're driving, your light, your rear light doesn't work. Guess what? You are going to be charged $1,000. You go to the grocery. Guess what? Taxes are going to go up. And this is how it's going. So when we say, as the citizens of this country, I don't want anything to do with politics, and I'm not into politics. You are living politics, ladies and gentlemen. Wake up, because we are drowning right now.
Indeed. And I want to touch on the riots that we had last week as our second to last topic. Um, Last week, and I mean, when it happened, I really wish that I had this show to come on and vent, because I experienced it as a citizen, I experienced it as a politician, and I also experienced it as a resident who got caught in the middle of what seemed to be a very well coordinated attempt at making their voices heard. And I told somebody, imagine if the criminal underworld, imagine that they are better at organizing themselves than the regular average citizen in this country who faces all of these problems. I mean, you go out to a protest as by the Red House and you see a handful of people. We have had protests mostly supported by our membership, but the rest of Trinidad and Tobago, are going through the same hardships that we're going through, it's hard to get them to come out and make their voices heard in a respectable, orderly manner. Yet, like I told someone, the criminals and the criminal underworld are better at organizing themselves than us. And I mean, that is a real testament as to, I don't know if it's a testament as to how bad things are, or if it is a testament of how, I would say, lackadaisical we are with our politics. But Back to those riots, I remember that morning waking up and I was supposed to have a meeting. And somebody said, one of the people I was supposed to meet said, what is happening in Port of Spain? I'm hearing that there are riots on the Beacon. This was about after 9 a.m. My meeting was for 12. And close to about 10 o'clock, 10 or 11 o'clock, I started to hear gunshots. And I say gunshots, not typical one, two shots. You started to hear what songs, and it clearly was automatic rifles going off. And in near proximity, I left my home at about half 11. And while I was leaving, someone driving up my street asked, "Is the street blocked?" And I said, "No." Again, still a bit little oblivious to what was exactly happening until I came back home and my street was blocked. And I say blocked, there was a pile of debris that was set ablaze and I could not pass on my street. So I had to go make the block, drive around for a little bit, go and check my mom and work. By this time, I had gotten news. There was traffic all around the savannah. There was when something happened and you feel that heaviness in the atmosphere. I felt it. By then, of course, I was aware that the protests were not just on the Beetham Highway and not just in Move. It had spread across Trinidad, in Cookery, in Belmont, on Charlotte Street, Nelson Street. It was happening all over. Like I said, a well-coordinated attack. And when I eventually managed to come back home, I saw some of the boys in my area, some of them who I know well, and I had just parked my car and I was coming up and I saw they were about to start another bonfire in the middle of the street. And being who I am, I went outside and I was like, "Fellas, come on, because seriously, come on." And they were not taking me on. One of the boys had the audacity to answer me back. I said, "Why are you doing this?" And he said, he shrugged his shoulders and he said, "The boss said so." Turned around, heard he led the march, and I mean, for some people this may seem like a surreal occurrence, and for me, and I guess in many parts, if you've never experienced it before, I've never actually experienced it so close to home. I mean, it was literally outside my home, but for me, it wasn't as surreal as it was a real taste of a dose of reality, an actual dose of reality, a dose of the reality of the community where I'm living in, a dose of reality of the situation facing Trinidad and Tobago presently, and a dose of reality as to just how terrible things must be for that sector of our society who must feel like they have no other recourse than to burn rubbish, protest, shoot guns, attack the police, fight back for what they feel is the right response to years and years and years of neglect. And when you look at communities, Michelle, all of them I call Belmont, Beetham, Mover, Laventille, Cookery, all PNM diehard communities. All. Every single one of them.
Felicia, it was that riot last week spoke volumes. And if you looked on as an onlooker, I mean, you were part of it. I remember us actively asking on the thread, "Where's Felicia?" Because we knew it had hit. I'm in deep south, so clearly I was not impacted. But when from an onlooker looking at that, you had to ask, is this Trinidad? Is this what my country has come to? I mean, it looked like Haiti. It looked like scenes out of Africa. But if you look at the history where we have been going, we have been on this path of rioting. We have to block the roads to get a road fix. Instead of going to your counselor and he or she doing what is assigned of them, what they are elected for, they will give you a series of runarounds. And we now have to do these small protests to get anything done in this country. So I saw it. It was very saddening to me to think this is where we have come. but to the residents and to the citizens of these strongholds, this is your time to wake up. This is your time to say no to the neglect that you have been experiencing decade after decade after decade. That was just the icing on the cake, Felicia. That was just that death was just the icing on the cake. That is a series of issues plaguing these constituencies. Philip has been highlighting the Beetham, the Morvant, the Carenage, all these areas continuing to vote the same way, and what do you have to show for it? But nothing but frustration. You were not recipients of the grants. You were not recipients of jobs that were, even possibly generated. You were not the recipients of HDC houses. You were not the recipients of your child getting into a prestige school and having the opportunity to go forward. It is time to these areas to wake up and say no election time. Give the Progressive Empowerment Party a chance to prove you wrong, that you deserve better.
Indeed, and Michelle, yesterday I did a walk in um, Providence Estate. That's Upper Bournes Road, St. James. They call it informally Coco. When you go, it's a little valley in Upper St. James. You're in the mountains. The road winds uphill, and it actually takes you to the source of the St. James River, what becomes the St. James River. And I mean, I had to experience firsthand what. Now, I've met die-hard PNM people before, but the person who took me up there, a very brave young man, I have to say, he said, he gave me a tour of all of the problems. And in one stretch of road, Michelle, from the start of that river to his home, which was just a couple feet, so if you can say so, I saw problems as the river, well, I can't even say it needed dredging. It probably needed just redoing on a whole, because there's a whole forest growing out of the river. There are these water pipes that are laid so haphazardly. It looked so crazy. The day before I had gone to Kokoda, and people were commenting on the fact that the residents had put down their own pipes and it was looking crazy. After I saw what I saw yesterday about with the WASA pipes, I realized that they were probably just mirroring what they saw WASA do, because it was laid crazy and it was supposed to provide water for the people. I saw road in some places, no road in some places. When it rains, apparently where there's no road, there's a landslide. I saw a log stuck in the river since 2011 that they've been trying to get the local government to remove. I saw a box drain that was started for the last local government election, and then election came and they won back the seat, so they completely deserted the project. And a stone throw away from that is this PNM die-hard woman who is telling me, I know that PNM thief, I know that Daryl Smith doesn't do his job, I know that they just asked for your vote, but you know what, I'm still PNM till I dead. And it was mind-boggling to me, Michelle, that she can know all of the problems, all of the issues, but still, she said, next time I come back, I'm going to see a balize in front of her house. And I said, and I will come back with my umbrella and knock it with pepper umbrella. And I was probably knocking down. But I mean, we had a little fun conversation, but at the same time, it was really mind-boggling to me that, they know all of the issues, but there's still this die-hard party loyalty. And I said it in my speech last night. For all of the die-hard, we die hard. For all of the PNM till a dead, UNC till a dead, Balize and Rising Sun, when you have to walk out of your house and you have to step over garbage, when you have to walk outside your house and see the same eyesore of a box drain that started at incomplete, when you have to walk outside of your house and deal with a flooded river because they can't remove the log that there since 2011, how can you continue to be diehard? And how are you not understanding that the reason why you have to protest is because your voice is not being heard? Derek Lorenzen, he said it, and there's that's a post that the producer put up earlier, that nothing is going to change if you protest, but it will change if you vote. I think I'm paraphrasing him here. If you could put up that quote for me now, because it makes so much sense. Right, you can riot and protest as much as you want, but no, there's no change until you vote for real change. Vote PP. And there's nothing else I can add to that. It's the absolute truth. Rioting, I
Felicia,
understand
it's
if
yes.
like your voice is unheard, but nothing is going to change unless you make a change. And using this finger is the only way it's going to change.
Exactly, Felicia. I'm always on the ground, and sometimes we approach people that are, they're diehard till without rationale, without reason, without logic. What I am finding is these persons that are so loyal to these parties that really have no justification for loyalty, and that is what's scared. Because I don't mind if I encounter you and you have a logical explanation, that but to say that who teeth more and who teeth less, and I know they teeth, and you are not making sense for yourself, you are not making sense for this country, you are not making sense. And you have to ask yourself, what are you loyal to? What do you not want a better life? Do you not want the crime to reduce in this country? Do you not want the cost of living to go down in this country? Don't you want better? What are we loyal to? Ask yourselves. They're not loyal to us. Every constituency we walk, people have not seen their MPs, Felicia, since the last election, and you're still diehard. You have people are telling us they have not seen their MPs since 2015, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing has been fixed. They're telling you they don't have the budget, they don't have the permission, whatever the excuse is. And they continue with this for 5 years. And now they have the audacity to come around a few mere weeks before an election and tell you, vote for them. Vote for what? Ask yourself that.
Exactly. Vote for what? But I have to say there's an upside to that though. And Philip actually posted it last night. For all the diehards, there's still that 50% of the population. Forget the diehards. I'm not about trying to convert them. I will never understand them. But
Right.
I do know that there's 50% of the population who are neither red or yellow, 50% who have given up on either party, and they may have given up on politics completely until the Progressive Empowerment Party. This election, I'm telling people, this election is a make or break election for this country. Right now we are floating by on padded. Everything right now is an illusion. It's a huge illusion, and you can tell that there's an illusion because a country that is working will not have riots happening all across at-risk communities. A country that is working, people won't have to riot to have their voices heard. A country that is working, people won't have to wait for salary grants, and when they don't get salary grants, have to go and steal and rob just to survive. A country that is working, it shows, and it is not showing right now, and the illusion right now is crumbling, and there's only so long that it can continue. There's only so long this facade can go on for. And I think again it goes back to why I believe the present government had to call a snap election, and on top of calling a snap election, send their paid hacks to say, no, this wasn't a snap election. A typical election allows for 90 days before an actual election date. When this election was called, he allotted 35 days. So if that's not a snap election, I don't know what. Again, the only thing that I can do is say that I look forward to this working out in the favor of the Progressive Empowerment Party, which has offered itself as a real alternative to the years of mismanagement and corruption and theft that has been bandied around as politics in this country and bandied around as real political options up until the advent of the PP.
Felicia, well said, well said. And to the public, that is what we are representing. It's real representation. We want to be on the ground. We want to solve the issues because a better citizenry is a more productive country, a more safer country. If citizens are working and content with their living, with their environment, this will become a more productive country, a more safer country. So there's a domino effect we are dealing with here. And this is our advocacy at the Progressive Empowerment Party. We believe in a holistic approach of taking it and making all of our lives better. Yesterday, Felicia, during the walkabout, a guy said to me, a young fella, and he battled with us for a little while. He said, if you give me an HDC house, I'll vote for you. And my response was, do you have a job to pay for the HDC home? Do you have food to money to buy for your groceries? And I said, have a good day, because we cannot afford to think like this as citizens anymore. The HDC home is not our solution to fixing this country.
And I actually, somebody said the exact same thing to me on Saturday when I was in Kokoja. He said, I've been trying about 8 years now to get a house. And I said, and I've been on the list for about 16. I said, we need to think beyond HGC. Think to the point of being able to afford to purchase a plot of land of your choice, to be able to go walk, call a real estate agent and say, I'm looking for a brand new home for me and my family. Show me places. And you go and you feel comfortable knowing that you can go to the bank because the bank is allowing zero deposit, zero interest for first-time homeowners up to $1.5 million. That is the kind of lifestyle that you need to think forward, think progressive. Don't think what the government could give me a little haphazard put together HGC house that worth about 100,000 but costing the government $1 million to build. Think progressive. Think first world. Don't just stop thinking as they have programmed us to think. Michelle, one thing I have never, ever, 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 ever bought into was this whole HGC house thing. And I never understood why are Trinbagonians. Actually, I understand now. As I'm in politics, I understand now why Trinbagonians are so intent and so hopeful on this lottery HGC system. And it's because we've been taught that you can never own your own home unless, of course, you get through with an HGC house. If you're a public servant, you learn, hopefully I can get through because I work in TNTech or Wasson and they will put my name down. And when they call election time come in, because they want to get my votes, I might get you with a house. I understand now that they use it and politicize it to get votes and all of that, but I have never understood why we as citizens continue to let them use that over our heads. We should be able, the country has had enough money where we could say we as citizens can choose the home that we want, that we can buy the piece of land we want to build our own home. That is the kind of money we had, and that is where the Progressive Empowerment Party wants to take us back to, giving citizens real choice, real options, not no little Greenvale kind of housing development and tell you take that and you have to settle for it. We deserve so much better.
Yes, Trinidad and Tobago. That is what we are talking. We deserve so much better. Having an HDC house and not having a job, not being able to pay for that said HDC house, because it is a fact that 80% of HDC occupants do not pay their mortgage. So which means they cannot afford the home that is being given to them. So what does that say for our country? 80% cannot pay that mortgage. So don't think of yourself more than an HDC home. Think that you deserve a better country.
Indeed, and it is 8 a.m. on the dot. We have run out of time. Like I said, this program is now truncated into 1 hour. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We did not even touch on the one additional case of COVID-19, but I'll bring that up tomorrow. Like I said, we will be having all of our candidates join us on the program over the course of the next 5 weeks. You will get to meet your candidates, get to know them, so that when they are walking your constituency, you would have an idea of who your candidate is. Trinidad and Tobago, thank you so much for joining us back on this program. I said it when I had to take the hiatus, just that I look forward to this show so much. It gives me a sense of purpose more than, everything else I do in my life. I love coming here, talking on a morning. Like I said, I was so excited for the show this morning. I could not sleep. So I will probably be a walking zombie for the rest of the day. But it is worth it because I am here back with my lovely co-host Michelle Davis and back with you, the viewers of this program. Michelle, anything to say in closing?
No, thank you, Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for your continued support, your continued outreach. We look forward to serving you in government.
Most definitely, and it is exciting to think that this show, one day we may be looking back at this show from the halls, the rooms of government, remembering our very humble beginnings. And the Progressive Empowerment Party, we know a thing or two about humble beginnings. Thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning. I will be back tomorrow with one of our candidates to have a one-on-one interview. It will be a surprise who I am bringing. So please stay tuned for that. Michelle, you're doing the show on Wednesday, yes?
Yes, yes,
Lovely.
yes.
And on Friday, we are supposed to have Lemma McLeod Wilkinson, who usually does the show on Fridays. We will be back tomorrow for a fresh episode of Pep Talks in the morning. It's still social distancing time, apparently. I mean, I don't know what's going on in this mad country. But until we get the okay to move around as we can, to go to bars past 8 p.m. because coronavirus comes out at 8:01. Until all of that happens, Trinidad and Tobago, let us remember to stay together by staying apart. Have a wonderful day ahead. I will be back tomorrow.